Hey Super Gamers, it's Super Effective here. This episode is going to be a little different because I'm going to be discussing the proposed changes for the first patch for Evolve. If you don't know what the changes are, I will put a link in the description for you. So as you might imagine, there is going to be some pretty notable changes, especially with Wraith. So I will go down the list and share my thoughts with you. So first up, the monsters now will have a cooldown on their stealth pounce. This will prevent instances where monster players are just constantly using stealth pounce over and over again and squeezing a little bit of damage in. I think this is a important change, and it probably is needed because frankly, even when I'm playing as monster, I felt like that was pretty awesome, maybe too awesome. Monsters can see recent damage to their health bar to help keep burst damage visible. So I believe what this means is when you take damage, your health bar is at the top. When you lose a big chunk of damage, say like you hit a mine or something, it turns into a light pink, and then that pink area will disappear. For the monster, you will be able to see that longer, so you can kind of see if you lost a giant chunk of your health. Kraken had some changes done to him, notably things like trank darts, stasis grenades, and harpoons. Before, they kind of just slowed him down in mid-air. Now what they're going to do is bring him down to the ground. This will make these abilities a little bit more useful for actually getting Kraken to stop floating around. However, on the flip side, Kraken's flight speed is no longer slowed by tranks and stasis grenades. We don't know how strong this pulldown is, but I'm interested to see how it plays. And Aftershock's gonna have a little bug fix to allow it to break harpoons and stuff like that. Okay, so everybody's favorite topic is the Wraith. Warp Traversal. They're trying to make it so that her movement is less bursty. If you were a Wraith and you heard the dome get deployed, because, you know, all the trappers shout where they're doing it, all you really had to do was do 3 traversals, you know, like shift, 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 and then a warp blast. You could get out of the dome in any direction if you travel in a straight line, and you would not get caught. What they're going to do is warp traversal is the one where you press shift. You still travel the same distance, but that speed at which you travel is reduced by 25%. So you can still use it to get around. That should help potentially capture you if you're not careful enough. I mean, you can still get away. You know, the hunters don't have to be right on top of you in order for it to happen. Supernova got hit pretty hard with a 50% reduction in duration. You know, before you could use Supernova and you just wail on an assault. The duration that you have with Supernova would allow you to take down his shields and take down his health, all the way to incapacitation. You will need to use a combination abilities, just like all the other monsters, to kind of weaken them down, and then of course you can use Supernova to maybe finish them off. So that should definitely make for a welcome change. And of course everybody's favorite ability, Decoy, is the center of attention with Wraith. Wraith becomes visible for half a second one shot while cloaked. This is going to be a pretty big game changer. If you're one of those Wraith players who like to just pop Decoy while in the middle of a fight, this is going to hurt you. Now, Decoy is meant to kind of decoy and distract the hunters, so you will want to be sure you're out of line of sight before you're doing this, so you can kind of deke out. More competent players will be shooting to see if they can hit the real Wraith, and a half a second decloak is pretty big considering that the current one is only like a split second. Even some good players will start to lose sight of you, so yeah, be careful with that. I think this is definitely a welcome change. It doesn't stop the Wraith from kind of playing evasive in the dome, but you just gotta think about where you do it, because you can't just like be in the middle of a fight and then just let your decoy do everything for you. Also, the cooldown has been increased by 2 seconds, so you can't just keep spamming it. That 2 seconds might not seem like much. That is effective damage reduction on the decoy over time, if you think about it. This of course gives 2 seconds for the team to try and recover some of that damage, so you really need to think about getting that damage in and making it count rather than having the decoy do all the fighting for you. Warp Blast was that 4th ability that can be used as a traversal. The speed of this one was reduced by 40%, which seems like a lot. Now keep in mind, these values that I'm looking at they're on the forums and they are due to change, so maybe all this won't be the same by the time the patch gets released next week. Now, when you upgrade Warp Blast, radius will be increased instead of range. So that way you can't just level it up all the way to 3 and then use it to just basically escape any dome you ever want. You can still use it to escape a dome, but you can't be in really the center of the dome. You need to think about how close are you to edge and see if you can kind of deke out of the dome. And it's still quite possible, especially with the other monsters. You just gotta be aware what that trapper is, and then use your traversals then to try and keep out of range. Max traversal distance is set to 30 meters for all levels. So there you go. It's a fixed distance. I think before it started at 30 and maybe increased. Or on the flip side, Warp Blast had his damage increased by 10%. Giving Warp Blast more of an attack ability rather than just purely a traversal ability. I think that's actually a welcome change. Trappers. When the mobile arena gets thrown, the monsters cannot hear the voiceover of the trapper shouting, "Mobile arena out," or something like that. And they also will not be able to hear that clicking sound and the dome deploying over the area. What this means is that the monsters will need to pay attention and sniff regularly in order to find the trapper. Otherwise, there's a good chance the trapper will be able to dome you. If you play badly, trappers will have an easy time getting you. If you play cautiously and you are always sniffing for the trapper, you'll be fine. Which, honestly, you should be doing in the first place. Markov had changes done to his arc mines. It's pretty much, well, a straight nerf. Damage reduced by 20%, seems like a lot, and fixed a bug where damage extended past the trigger radius. The health of the mine is reduced by 75%, so it's making them paper thin. The whole point of this is so that the monster doesn't need to use an extended amount of ranged attacks in order to pop a mine. So at least now they will be able to easily be cleared by the monster. Also, its arm time was increased by 1 second, so all of these things are basically making it a lot harder for Markov to use his mines. Granted, his mines were quite powerful, but I don't know if I would personally call them OP prior. The mines are being hit on 3 fronts here, so I'm not sure if I completely agree with it, but again, this changes might not be final. Arc mines could have also been used to kill things like eggs and stuff like that, so arm time delay and the damage reduction definitely going to affect the power of Markov's mines on the nest maps. It might require you to throw maybe like another 1 or 2 more mines to down an egg. I don't think that's really that big a deal. However, in combat with a monster, that could be a big deal. I guess we'll see how that turns out. Hyde is actually getting a nice little buff because his toxic grenades were kind of underutilized. I personally felt that they needed some work. So, the DPS for toxic grenades is being increased by a whopping 50%. So, yeah, monsters, if that toxic grenade goes down, you better watch yourself. However, the lifetime of the toxic grenade will be 15% shorter, but, you know, it's more dangerous in a slightly shorter amount of time. Also, Hyde had the throw rate for the toxic grenades reduced, so he can't throw them as often. Toxic grenades will also explode in proximity to a monster, so you can use it to throw it at a Kraken in mid-air. It's kind of like a throwable mine, but it has like a huge dot. This could be very interesting, make Hyde a lot more viable in when you really need to lay down that damage. Also, his minigun had a straight-up buff. Its accuracy was increased by 12%, and its damage was increased by 20%. So I'm actually quite excited to see more Hyde play, because Parnell had his multi-fire rocket launcher have battle accuracy while jumping and jetpacking. I'm not sure if you guys knew this, you can actually have pinpoint accuracy if you're aiming down sights with the rocket launcher, but I believe this is referring to when you're shooting from the hip, so to speak. So I think that was much needed, because if you're chasing like a Kraken, your rockets are flying all over the place. It was pretty infuriating. And for a weapon that's supposed to be, you know, better at long range compared to his auto shotgun, the multi-fire rocket launcher was pretty bad. Maggie's harpoon trap, arm time increased by 1 second. Now, I personally love Maggie. She's my favorite trapper. And there are times when I feel pretty OP with the harpoon trap. Not everybody might share this enthusiasm as me, but I think this is a fair change, to be brutally honest. I mean, you know, if you set your traps, 1 second arm time is not really that big a deal. If you're committing to the fight and you're kind of circle strafing a monster, planting your traps everywhere, 1 second is not that big a deal. Might not even be noticeable. Griffin had his sound spikes buffed straight up. Griffin had a lot of trouble when it comes to finding monsters, especially since if a monster is sneaking. Detection radius of the sound spikes has been increased by another 10 meters, so it's now 60 meters instead of 50. But now, the sound spikes will also detect stealth monsters within 15 meters radius. So what this might do is, instead of you sticking your sound spikes in just optimal locations to cover as great an area as possible, if you know the monster is going to be sneaking a lot, you may want to start sticking your sound spikes in, like, passageways, you know, entrances of caves, hallways, help you find sneaking monsters. Now this isn't completely going to break it. As a sneaking monster, it's only 15-meter radius, so you can smell for these sound spikes. You could decide to just sneak around it, or you could just run, get out of that range as much as you can. So you have a choice, and just play smarter. Bucket's guided rocket launcher had his damage increased by 11%. I think Bucket needs a lot more work than just this 11% buff, mainly with its UAV ability. Again, these changes are not final, and I'm hoping Bucket receives some kind of reworking. You know, I guess 11% more damage, yeah, yay, I guess. Bucket players might appreciate that, but I have not been the greatest of Bucket players. I just don't see his utility compared to some of the other supports. Cabot's railgun got some pretty heavy nerfs. He had a damage reduction of 30% per shot, and his reload time was increased by 25%. Now, some people might say, why was Cabot nerfed so hard? Now, the reason behind this is supposedly competent players who do a really good job at keeping constant damage on him and, you know, hitting headshots often could rock 40k damage in an average round, which is quite high considering that's a lot higher than the assault. So if this is indeed the case, they are basing these changes off of telemetry. I personally have never seen a Cabot do 40k damage, but hey, if there's proof for it, then okay, cool. Alright, so here's another favorite change of mine, which I think is a welcome change. Val is going to be having her overall effectiveness improved. Right now, her med gun was kind of lacking. In a sustained fight, she couldn't really keep people up. So now she can heal 20% faster. However, it consumes that capacity, the little medgun battery, if you will, by 2.5 times faster. So you can heal really good, but you'll run out of that ammo, giving you a good reason to actually switch off and use your other tranquilizer and your sniper rifle. As well as the medgun takes 50% more time to recharge. So what this will do is the capacity perk or the reload perk might be a lot more valuable for Val now if you want to be purely healing. Reload perk could still be really good if you like to use your other tools, you know, just like heal, 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 shoot a quick round off of each of your other weapons, and then go back to healing. Or you can go capacity and heal more, but have, you know, the default downtime. So that could be good for a more sustained fight. I think there's a welcome change because Val definitely needed it. In higher level games, she fell behind the burstiness of monsters' damage output. Tranquilizer has also been changed. So yeah, the duration on the Tranquilizer is going to be 10 seconds on all monsters. I'm not sure if most of you guys knew this, but Tranquilizer had different durations on each monster currently. As I understand it, Goliath had a Tranquilizer duration of like 7 seconds, Kraken was like 8 or 9 seconds, something like that, and Wraith actually had 10 seconds duration. That doesn't really affect Wraith technically, because on Wraith it was already 10 seconds, so this makes it more effective against Goliath and Kraken to make them all have a consistent effect. And last but not least is Kyra, who had her cooldown for acceleration field increased by 15 seconds. Now, Kyra is my #1 hunter. I think that this is actually a fair change because I almost always had acceleration field in my pocket whenever I needed it. Now, some things that are not mentioned in this particular list, again, this list is work in progress. There's no mention of Lazarus. Lazarus needs something done, in my opinion, to make him more viable in the higher level play, because any monster who just thinks about how to counter a Lazarus will counter a Lazarus. Anyways, yeah, I would like to see some Lazarus changes, but generally it's a pretty good list of changes, I think. Lazarus and Bucket are probably the points where I would like more attention. I hope that the Wraith changes are good enough for this game, because this patch has been taking quite a while for it to come out, and I hope that people come check out the game again, and I for one would like to see more frequent patches. It plays a pretty big role in ensuring to the community that things are changing for the better, and I guess we'll see while TRS is working out their patch process. And keep in mind they're also making a lot of bug fixes from the launch. Mostly I would imagine they are Xbox related, but there's also a lot of little small bugs, like the cursor constantly being on the screen for some people like me, and some other people who don't have a cursor at all. Instances where revivable bodies will fall through the ground. In my case, I got a Armadon who charged me into a wall and I fell off the level. Instances where if you throw a dome just as you die, by the time you respawn, your mobile arena won't recharge anymore. Things like that. But yeah, I wish TRS the best of luck, and I hope to see you guys all later on Sheer. So what do you guys think about the patch? Anything that was missed? Anything that you would like to see? Leave your comments below, and I'll see you guys next time. Cloak yourself if you're under attack. Level 4.
You guys almost got him.
Got no more shield!
Do as much as you can.
I'm trying.
He fucked off.
That's a
Did you see
decoy.
me?
Yeah.
My tag was still on him. He doesn't know where he is.
I will place
No,
mine.
not anymore.
I'm dropping
There
in
he is.
1 minute.
Right here.
Picture as a decoy.
No, he's free.
Oh my god!
That was a decoy?
Yeah,
So,
that is.
wow, that's stupid. It engages us.
We're not under attack.
Out! Back to
Not
normal!
using the enemy. Not working.
Question is, where did he go?
Healing field is online!
He doesn't have a whole lot. There he is.
Hurts!
Dropping
God, I
in
need
30.
it. I really need that jetpack recharge.
I have it. It's good.
He's running out of time though.
He is. He might
He's evolving to 3. Probably
That
fire
70,
relay right
71
now.
minutes. Sounded a lot closer.
It's probably going to the fire relay.
Dropship in 4 seconds. Oh, there he is.
There he is.
Over that way!
I'm dropping in right now.
Big gun's still charging! Come on to the sweet! Finish it! Tranquility! Knocked off.
Oh, he's abducting
Got
me.
it! Get me up!
Get him, get him, get him. Explode.
Got no more shield!
Oh, my.
Not shooting me.
I just fucking
It's
dropped him.
gone!
Burn him down, he's almost dead.
Oh no! Pistol! Oh, nice.
Dead! We are victorious!
Oh, fucking. He burned to death with my grenade launcher. Woo! That was close.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed that episode. If you'd like to support the channel, please visit my Patreon page. Your contributions would be greatly appreciated. If Feel free to like, subscribe, share, and leave comments down below, as I take all constructive feedback seriously. And if you're interested in watching live gameplay, I stream nightly on my Twitch channel. Special thanks goes out to Andrew for being my very first Patreon pledger.